Hi guys, my name is Ava Palmer and I decided to do my project about car accidents in Tennessee, and I chose this because car accidents are actually one of my biggest fears, and I thought by learning more about it I would be able to kind of alleviate some of those fears. So I planned on looking for like high frequency fatal car accidents in Tennessee and wanted to kind of map that out and just, learn more about it. So to begin with, I had to get my census tract, which is down there, and I just went to the link that was on the Word document that Dr. Erskine sent out for us, and took me here, and I just downloaded this tract right here, and it looked like this. And so I knew I needed to get the data for all of the fatal car accidents in Tennessee, and I decided to try to find the data for the year 2022 just so it would be easier to kind of work with all of that data. And because if I had, like a span of 10 years, it would just take forever to load and would not be easy to work with. And so I went to this website and I just looked through each of these, and I really needed this right here. But as you can see, it's not really, something I can easily download or import or something like that. And so I ended up having to talk to like the director of, Titan to see if I could get some of that data. And he actually emailed me back and sent me this huge file with all sorts of information that I had to download, and ended up taking about like an hour and a half to download everything. And eventually I got the data set, and there was a lot of stuff that I could use, but there was a lot of stuff I had to filter out, and this was the folder that they sent me. It was called Extract Save To folder, and like as you can see, there's just a lot of information kind of to sift through. But this was the main one that I needed, the collision one, because it just had like the location and if it was fatal, if pedestrians were included, and just, all sorts of information. So I had to download this file, and then I had to add it as a delimited text layer, and just choose this type so that like QGIS knew how to read it and how to like classify it, and then put in latitude and longitude for the X and Y field so it could locate it. And I imported it as WGS84 for the GPS coordinates, and then it popped up, and it was about 2 million different data points. And at this point, like, my computer just wanted to shut down and not work at all because there was just so much going on. And so I had to go on the attribute table and filter out all the accidents that had one or more fatalities. And then after I did that, it was a little bit easy to work with, and then I had to filter out for the year 2022. And then at that point, it was just so much easier to work with, and I imported those points, and it looked like this. So yeah, that's a lot easier to work with than, over 2 million data points, and you couldn't even really see what was going on. And so at that point, I had to use the, count points in Polygon tool so I could get those counts and visualize it a little bit better. And so I did that, and I chose to use like graduated equal intervals, and I chose to use green just because it was easier, to see and stand out. And it looked like this. And after that, I knew I wanted to use like 2 other attributes just to kind of classify these fatal accidents a little bit more and get a little bit more information. So I went back to this 2022 fatal accident attribute table, and I filtered out fatal accidents in 2022 that included pedestrians, and that's just called non-motorist fatal accidents. And so I put those points in, and these points look like this, and you just kind of see all different areas that involved fatal accidents with pedestrians. And again, I used the count and polygon tool so I could visualize it a little bit better. And I used blue for this one just so I could tell it apart. And it looked like this. And let me turn this one off so you can see a little bit better. So luckily, there aren't as many, but there were quite a few in this area, I noticed, and quite a few here. So these darker spots had 4 to 5 occurrences, and to me that's just insane. I don't know how that could even happen. But after this, I went back to my original data set and I filtered out fatal accidents in 2022 that had alcohol involved. And so this one, if alcohol was involved, then there would be a Y, and if there wasn't alcohol involved, then there would be an N. But some of them did not have any data for alcohol, so just keep in mind that this data is not 100% complete, but most of them had either a Y or an N. And so I just did the same thing, and I put those points on there. And so there's, none over here, but there's a lot over here and some there. And then I did, again, the counts and polygon tool, and turn that one off. Looking like this. And again, there's a lot over here, and a few over here, and some over here. So let me just turn each of these back on. So that was each of my layers here, but I thought it'd also be interesting to see what major interstates most of these accidents occurred on. I had to go to, let me see, this website right here. I just looked up, map of Tennessee with major interstates, and I just pressed download, and it had a lot of information, and most of it was hundreds and hundreds of little tiny streets, and it just overcrowded my map, and you couldn't even really tell what was going on. So I just decided, to do the interstates. But whenever I put it on, most of the interstates branched through, and so I had to use the clip tool to make sure that it was just in Tennessee so it wouldn't be distracting, and it looked like this. So from this, kind of zoomed in here, and it's just interesting to see that there's just a lot of fatal accidents all throughout here along the interstate, which it makes sense, but it's just crazy that there's so many in that corner, and then a lot through here, and that's around Nashville, so that makes sense. All this data, it just seems like Memphis right here is a huge problem area. So as a data scientist, I kind of want to figure out what is different about this area that it would have so many fatal accidents and pedestrian accidents and accidents involving alcohol, all in the span of 2022, just right here. And Nashville, it had quite a bit as well, but it just does not seem nearly as bad as Memphis. So from my findings, it's just obvious that there is something different about this area. Maybe the speed limit is higher, or it could be anything. And I guess that's something to figure out in the later projects, what is going on, what makes this area so different. But yeah, that's my project. Thank you very much for watching. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I feel like I learned a lot. But thank you.